Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me. I am going to be talking about the breed-specific legislation and the need for a major repeal, revision, or just elimination of this legislation. It might surprise you to know that 75% of pit bull mixes that end up in a shelter in any municipality, they never leave and are immediately euthanized upon intake. And this is based off of appearance. It's largely due to this breed-specific legislation, which limits the possibility of adopting these dogs out drastically. So what is BSL? Breed-specific legislation. It's a law to prohibit or restrict the keeping of particular types of dogs. Pit bull and pit mixes are definitely at the center of the BSL. BSL is in effect in 37 U.S. states, specific counties, despite the lack of empirical evidence that legislation of this type reduces the risk of injury from dog bites. So a little bit about my family and how I got them. This is my two dogs, Striker and Dozer, with my twin daughters. They came to me because of this breed-specific legislation. A family who raised them from babies. Their neighbor called, said they have pit bulls, they're not allowed here. And the family was given 72 hours for the dogs to be taken away and would have ultimately been euthanized. So I did gain one good thing from BSL, and that is these beautiful babies who never leave my daughter's sides or their friends' sides. So it's my goal to have this ordinance revised to a more efficient system that restricts dangerous dogs based on a case-by-case system that has worked for other areas, not based simply on what the dog looks like. I've owned pit bulls for 35 years of my life. I volunteer at the shelter, the Buddy Center, once a week. So though I haven't experienced anything negatively personally, I do witness the repercussions of neglect and humans that aren't caring for their animals correctly. Why should you care? Well, BSL has not proven to help. Bite cases go down in any of the 32 states that have municipalities with breed-specific ordinances. It has been a quick fix to make people believe that they're safe from dog attacks, but it is it's ineffective and unfair to millions of dogs that simply look a certain way. The ordinance is hurting our communities rather than helping them, and you'll have more details on that later. And states like New York, Texas, and Illinois, they favor laws that identify, track, and regulate dangerous dogs individually, regardless of their breed. So this is what I'd like to look at as a solution. So first, let's look at why the BSL needs to be revised. One, there's a serious problem with enforcing BSL related to breed identification and complexities. The animals must have 51% DNA belonging to one of the registered pit bull breeds. And some interesting information, the shelter staff has matched one breed within the dog's heritage in 7 out of 20 subjects. And in those cases, that breed often represented only 1/8 of the dog's total breed makeup. These issues are particularly acute in the assessment of dogs belonging to the group commonly known as pit bulls. That information was provided from the book Canine Identity Crisis. Moving on, I'd like to just give you a little bit of information. Which of these dogs do you think is a pit bull based on their genetics? Many of them look pretty familiar and as if they would be considered that. None of them. None of these 6 dogs are pit bulls at all. There has the statistics that were courtesy of the www.crgov.com and their bite statistics, animal statistics, genetic testing statistics provide these examples that none of these dogs are pit bulls. Of these, None of them are more than 51% pit bull, but 8 of them would certainly be registered as such. This little guy in the bottom right-hand corner, I guarantee he would be labeled a pit bull when submitted to the shelter, and he has 0% of that DNA. There is also, moving on, a lack of reliable scientific data that suggests one breed is more or less aggressive than another. For instance, there were 600 bite cases recorded in Douglas County from 2010 to 2017, animal to animal as well as animal to human. Of those bites, 21 cases were categorized as severe, and none involved a pit bull or pit bull cross. In fact, none of them were breeds that are included in the BSL ban. With regard to the 21 severe bites, there were 6 black lab, yellow lab mixes, 4 huskies, 2 boxer mixes, some German shepherds, cats, and the list goes on, but not pit bull. So what do? We have a simple solution. Let's move back to states like New York, Texas, and Illinois. They favor the laws that identify, track, and regulate dangerous dog individually, regardless of breed, and they prohibit BSL, which is absolutely mandatory. It needs to happen in every state across the United States. We need to look at each aggressive or dangerous dog case individually on a case-by-case basis. Breed and appearance should not be taken into consideration at all. So if we look first here, a potentially dangerous animal should be defined as an animal that causes injury to any human or animal that is less than serious injury. Less than serious injury can be defined in your state ordinance. These animals can be tracked by the courts on a case-by-case system. The judge may deem that they register the dog as a potentially dangerous dog, in which case they can keep track of records that this dog might become a problem for the community. Next, we need to look at defining a dangerous animal. This would be any animal that causes serious bodily injury to any person or domestic animal, one that behaves in a manner that would have resulted in a seriously bodily injury if a human did not intervene. In this case, the animal could and should be then prohibited to stay within the community. Now that we've, can obviously see major problems with the BSL and we have an idea on what we can do to revise the ordinance and become effective in tracking these dangerous dogs, let me just recap why this is important. BSL persists despite the lack of empirical evidence that the legislation reduces risk of injury from dog bites. Next, there are obvious challenges of enforcing the ineffective breed-specific ordinances as we've gone over. There's a simple solution that has proven effective in other states. The solution helps protect the community from truly dangerous animals based on their actions, not their appearance, not what they look like, not what someone thinks they look like. In closing, I'd like to quote something from Maria Lopez, who wrote about my individual town in Castle Rock, who, I'm proud to say, has eliminated BSL completely as of May 1st, 2018. Maria Lopez said, town staff reported that of the 60 pit bulls that were expelled from Castle Rock over the past decade, none were banished for biting or aggressive behavior, but simply just because they were pit bulls or a pit bull cross of some sort. So, in fact, 60 families lost their beloved pets because of BSL, of no fault of their own, simply because they resembled a banned breed. As I say, I'm happy to say that we have lifted that. It just needs to happen across the nation. God made it clear in Proverbs 12:10. We need to take care of our animals. We need to watch after them. They're our responsibility. It's cruel to treat them any way different. Thank you for your time.